Did you think $2.2 trillion was a lot of money? Well, you weren't thinking big enough. Today we're going to discuss the $3 trillion proposed HEROES Act that has just left the House of Representatives. We're going to find out what's in there for you, what's in there for your business, and what I have to say today you may not like. So to avoid you getting upset later and taking it out on me, just give me a like right now on this video so we can get started. So now let's talk about the HEROES Act. This is a proposed bill that has been put together by the House of Representatives, who is led by the one and only Nancy Pelosi. Now, why is this such an important bill? First of all, let's discuss the name, the HEROES Act. Why is it named the HEROES Act? Is it only for frontline workers? No, it's not. What happens is when you put a bill together, you want to name it something because it's almost like a piece of marketing material. You want to name it something that's going to give it a lot of flash, and you would almost feel bad if you said no to it. Most of you won't really care about every single part of this bill, so I'm going to outline for you the most important portions that I think the general population needs to know about and what's going to affect you the most and what's going to affect your business the most. So why are bills so large? Is it so politicians won't read them and just sign off on them? Well, the real reason is because there's a thing called pork barrel politics. What that means is that if you want more support for your bill, what you do is you go to your colleagues who are other representatives of other states and you say to them, support my bill, and whatever you have on your agenda, we could just slap it in here, and then you get an 1,815-page bill. And that's why they're so large. They're not meant to be that big so no one will read them. It's just that they need so much support to get them passed that you'll throw everyone's necessities right in there along with yours. So think of a bill as a Trojan horse. Because it's named the HERO Act, that means that it's painting this type of picture that everyone's imagining. But within that HERO Act, you got things in there that don't make any sense. So these representatives, what they're doing is they're trying to get things that their state actually needs. So they're throwing it in there, and you may get research for turtles in there. You may get things that have nothing to do with actually the problem at hand, but it's all thrown in there because you need to garner support for the bill in order for it to make it out of the House. What perfect timing. I've got the landscapers here doing work as I'm doing this video. I'm gonna continue anyway. These guys are killing me. These landscapers, I'm gonna take a weed whacker to them. So what's in this bill? Let me start off by telling you that there's an additional $10 billion for the EIDL loan, which is ever so popular but ever so hated because some people have been waiting patiently with no money in their bank account. Because right now, as you know, they're no longer giving you money if you're not a farmer or an agriculture industry. So with these extra $10 billion, they'll probably replenish it and be able to make loans to those people who have been patiently waiting by the sideline. Are you a landscaper? Do you like interrupting videos? You guys are doing a great job back there. Great job. So the SBA will definitely get a shot in the arm. They're going to get an extra $73 billion to allocate for all the programs that they have available federally. Most of those changes are going to go towards the payment protection plan, which now actually will allow hospitals to partake in getting some of those loans. Now, the Paycheck protection plan is right now currently out of funds, but they're allocating $659 billion towards making sure that they have commitments which will back any loans that a bank makes for a business owner who has now qualified for the Paycheck protection plan. Now remember, I said businesses, but you can also be a nonprofit or be a hospital now and still qualify. This is big because now some of the hospitals that actually been laying people off and furloughing people because they did not have enough work can now actually hire those employees back and have that money being forgiven for them. Another big improvement that the Paycheck protection plan is going to have is that loan terms will no longer be 2 years. Now they will be 5 years, which is actually much better because you have more time now in which to pay off that money if it wasn't used for payroll. If it was used for working capital, now you have a little bit more breathing room and the term is a little bit longer, so it allocates more money back in your pocket. That's a big improvement because we don't know how long it's going to take for our recovery. It may not take 2 years, it could take 5 years. We've never seen anything like this before, so we're definitely in uncharted waters. So let's discuss the reason why this is named the HERO Act. It's named the HERO Act because there's a large chunk in there, $200 billion to be exact, that's going to be allocated for frontline workers. There's a $200 billion fund. Think about that. It's a lot of money. Well, employers are now going to be able to apply for grants for each person ranging from $5,000 to $10,000 depending on their income level, in which they will be able to allocate $13 extra per hour until that money is exhausted, and it's retroactive. So if they've been working for the last 30 or 60 days, they could get that money right now in one lump sum. That's going to be big, and that's going to be a big shot in the arm for the economy. There's a lot of people who are considered to be essential, so that's a big demographic, a big portion of our economy just there. Are landscapers considered to be essential workers? Are they going to end up getting a $13 raise per hour for interrupting videos? Only time will tell. Next is unemployment benefits. Everyone is enjoying those $600 extra they're getting every week if you've already received it. There's still a lot of people who are still waiting, mostly independent contractors. But what the act is doing now is it's going to be extending that until January of 2021. So that is going to be a good relief for a lot of people who thought they were going to be coming off of it in the summertime. This is giving us a little bit more breathing room in case the job market does not come back. I'll tell you who's not out of work, landscapers. That's who. Now this is a big one that a lot of people haven't spoken about, and it was actually partially included in the CARES Act. What it is student debt forgiveness. What this is going to cover is up to $10,000 in the event that you have private student loans. A lot of people have the Sallie Mae stuff that's backed by the government, but in case you have some private stuff too, those will now be also included. So what it states is that you will be credited or forgiven for up to $10,000 with monthly installments. So for instance, if you're paying $1,000 per month, you will be able to get the next 10 months covered under this proposed bill. That's going to be a big help for a lot of college students, or for people who are actually just out of college and don't have a job because there isn't really a job to go to. This is going to be a big help for those people who are sitting on tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in student debt. Our next topic is something that a lot of people wouldn't talk about or wouldn't really care about, and that's assistance to farmers. There's going to be millions and billions allocated to both farmers, food outlets, and people who want to start farms. The reason why this is important to us is because that is why you're not seeing as much meat at your grocery store or products on the shelf, because farmers have been greatly impacted. Now we want to make sure that our food supply is protected in order for us to keep enjoying our quality of life that we had prior to this pandemic. So that is actually going to be a big addition to this proposal that is going to impact everyone, and I hope to see that that sticks. Now here's the nitty gritty. More stimulus. $1,200 per adult in the house, including children, up to $6,000 per household. That is huge, humongous. $6,000 in one shot, in one lump sum, would help a lot of households. Hopefully that is enough to get the people out there buying again and shopping again and being able to provide and even maybe make their payments on their credit cards or mortgages or rents or whatever it is that they're behind on. It will definitely give people a sense of being back on their feet, and even maybe provide enough time for them to start learning new skills so they can get back out there in the workforce. Now, the stimulus money will still have the same restrictions in income as the previous ones that were enacted through the CARES Act. So if you're an independent filer, you have nothing to worry about if you earn under $75,000. If you're filing joint, then you're under $150,000. Now, if you're wondering how much you would qualify for, then you have to use the calculator to figure that out. There are plenty of those on the internet that you can just type in your income and see if you'll get anything at all. Now, most people that earn over $90,000 or $99,000 will probably won't receive anything, but you have dependents in your household who are not making any money at all, then those dependents can actually get money even if you're overqualified. Now, there's also protection in here for payroll. What that means is that they're going to be allocating a lot of money towards tax credits for employers when they have staff. This is going to help them offset the expense that they are going to incur by not having as much business as before, but still having to meet payroll. Now, this is the section that I really want to talk to you about, and that is the mortgage assistance and the rental assistance. So let's get started with mortgages first. They're talking about allowing anyone who's currently behind or will fall behind on their mortgage to fall into an automatic 60-day forbearance period, which can then turn into a 180-day forbearance period and can be extended to 360 days later on. They're extending this now to all mortgages, not just federally backed. What they've coined this term to be is covered mortgages, which means any mortgage transaction whatsoever between a 1 and 4 unit property. That means hard money, if I'm reading this correctly, private loans that maybe your aunt made you on your house. It doesn't matter, it's all included in this. So this is very interesting to see if this is gonna stick, or maybe there'll be some amendments made later, because they are interfering into now private sector, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now, additionally, what they've added is that not only will you be in a forbearance for your mortgage, but you'll also have your servicer or your bank pay for your taxes, your insurance, your management or maintenance fees, and even your utilities, gas, electric, internet, water, all these things. I've never heard of anything this expansive, but they've kind of thought about everything, because in the CARES Act, they've left a lot of things out that need to be addressed, such as those expenses, because if you have zero money coming in, a lot of municipalities have actually done their own type of forbearance with homeowners, which has allowed them to pay a little bit later without any penalties whatsoever that they would have normally had under regular terms. If you're a big fish and you own multi-family properties, more than 4 units, there's also going to be a lot of relief for you. What you may ask yourself, well, how's about a 1-year forbearance? Not only that, but your bank cannot charge you any late fees, penalties, or report you to the credit bureaus. Not even that little note that they make that you're in a forbearance. Nothing. Your credit will not be affected whatsoever. And that also extends to the residential mortgage borrowers as well, not just the big dogs. What it also extends to them is the fact that it's not only for federally backed mortgages. These big guys sometimes have mortgages with private institutions or with Wall Street or whoever it may be. As long as it's considered to be a multi-family loan, then you're going to be covered. So they want to change the language from federally backed loans to multi-family loans, which now could encompass just about every loan out there that someone may have on their 30 unit, 40 unit, 100 unit complex. This is going to be great news for guys like Grant Cardone. And the reason why is because what they do is they team up with the general population and they go out there and they buy these huge multi-family properties. But the issue we're having is that a lot of people aren't going to be able to make their rent. So if they have a high vacancy or a high default rate on their apartments, they're not going to be able to pay dividends, and even worse, they might even lose those properties. So this is great news for syndicators, and it's really great news for Uncle G. So now let's talk about if you're a renter or if you're a landlord. This is important information and you have to pay attention. The way the law sits right now, you have a 120-day period in which you can miss rent payments, but you have to pay it back later on. The way the new proposal sits is that you will have a 1-year term with no rent, and then your landlord has to give you an additional 30 days to vacate the unit. In essence, you'll have 13 months with no rent whatsoever. During this time, your landlord cannot evict you, cannot charge you late fees or penalties or anything of the such. But there is going to be help for landlords, so they're not just going to be missing out 100%. I don't know if this is going to stick. I'm not sure if this is going to fly, but it will help a lot of people who are in a jam right now. Now, there's no mention that that money will be forgiven. That money will still have to be paid later on. So it's not an invitation to people to start missing their rent payments once this is passed. If it's passed, it's just letting you know that if you need up to a year, you can get up to a year, but don't take advantage of the landlord, because he can still go after you later on and place a judgment on you personally, which will really screw you up later on because it will affect your credit and you're going to have a hard time getting a decent apartment anywhere else. Now, there's a lot of families out there who have bigger problems on their plate than just, hey, we need some extra money in our bank account. There's some families who don't even have enough to eat. So the good news is that in this bill, there is a 15% increase to the SNAP program, which is basically the modern day food stamp program. This is a good thing because I'm always about feeding families and helping children who are definitely in the need of having extra food on their plate. A lot of kids that were attending school before were getting their meals from school, but since they're not going to school anymore, they're at home and they're probably most of the time pretty hungry. Luckily, there's a lot of private organizations and there's a lot of nonprofit organizations out there who are kind of stepping in and filling in those spots, but it's a good thing to have an extra 15% in food stamp availability because there are definitely people out there who need it. So what do you like about this bill? What do you hate about this bill? Give us your general opinion. I want you to leave it down below in the comments. And if you do, the best comment after 7 days could win culture gear. You might get a hat, you might get A fleece like this, you'll never know if you don't leave it down below. We're in the process of creating the largest real estate team across all 50 states. If you're in real estate or you're thinking about getting into real estate sales, I would love to talk to you. I'm gonna leave a link down below in the description section where you can schedule a one-on-one chat with me. As always, guys, we appreciate you watching. If you liked what we talked about today, please consider subscribing to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share this with a friend. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. How long does it take people to mow my lawn? Stick to the end of this video and you'll see. Oh, we got the leaf blower now. Let's get the leaf blower going.